Hi, my name is Preston Daniel, and today I'm going to be talking about the cell cycle. Now, the cell cycle is a very complex arrangement of multiple processes. One of those processes is mitosis. This is the duplication, the copying of chromosomes into two different nuclei. Another part is cytokinesis, which is those two nuclei actually splitting into the two different cells. These two processes together are known as the mitotic phase within the cell cycle. Now, the other phase of the cell cycle is the interphase, which consists of three processes: the G1 phase, the S phase, and the G2 phase. The G1 phase is cell growth. That's just it growing so it can split apart. S is the synthesis of DNA in order to, so the two different cells can have the DNA that they need. The G2 phase is it continuing to grow so that it can be split by mitosis and cytokinesis, so it can do the whole process over again. And certain cells are able to undergo this change frequently throughout the lifetime of an organism. For example, skin cells divide very frequently, whereas fully matured nerve cells will never divide. So the cell cycle has multiple checkpoints to make sure that each cell has had all of these reactions, all the growth and the DNA synthesis take place. So the M checkpoint occurs after the prometaphase of mitosis. Cells that pass through this have to have all of their chromosomes attached to spindles within the cell for later division. The G1 checkpoint signals just whether or not it's ready to grow, if it has the right nutrients and growth factors. The G2 checkpoint allows for the cells to proceed into the metaphase and anaphase of mitosis. And it checks for, because it does those two parts of mitosis, it has to check for the duplicated DNA to make sure everything's there. So if at any point a cell fails one of these checkpoints, it's going to go into the G0 phase, the G0 phase, which is the cell not actively dividing. And it won't divide until it is fit. Once it becomes fit to divide again, it can move back into the cell cycle. So different signals are what allow for the checkpoint to discern between fit cells and unfit cells. One example is the MPF, or the mitotic promoting factor. This sends cells from the G2 phase to the M phase. This makes sure that they are ready for mitosis. Another example is PDGF, platelet-derived growth factor. This is platelets moving into a new wound to be able to heal it. So like more and more platelets will come to the wound. They'll cause the cells there to divide more and more so it can heal faster. And both of these growth factors are fueled by cyclins and cyclin-dependent kinases. So the cyclin is a regulatory protein that this is what is actually responding to the signals. This is what responds to the growth factors. And the kinases are what allow it to respond, so it can actually do what it's supposed to do. So one example of the cell cycle just kind of going wrong is cancer. It is caused when some cells ignore the signals, ignore the factors that tell them to stop. Because as you can see, the mutated cells don't stop. They ignore the signals that tell them to and continue to divide. So they will keep on going, keep on growing and dividing, and they will take up all of the nutrients because they're dividing so rapidly, and they won't leave any for the healthy cells. So you can see here on this the difference between healthy normal cells and cancerous cells, and the uncontrolled growth, the weird shapes, all of that just shows that how unhealthy it is and how bad it is for the body. So that's really all, and I hope that was helpful.